I always thought I knew what love meant. It wasn't grand gestures or late-night confessions. It was quiet mornings, paying bills without complaint, listening without judging, and keeping my mouth shut when it hurt. I would fix the leaking faucet, handle the credit card debt, remind her of doctor's appointments, and she would smile and say, "Thanks, babe. You're the best." I swallowed the loneliness I felt in her absence and told myself that this was normal, that love was endurance, not passion. "Hey, Lena," I said one morning, leaning against the counter while she brewed coffee. "Did you sleep well?" She didn't look up. Yeah, fine." That fine had become her default answer, and I accepted it. I kept pretending it meant more than it did. "You're quiet," I said. "Something on your mind?" "No. Nothing." I nodded, pretending to believe her. I wanted to, I really did. But deep down, I felt a chill that I couldn't name. Still, I told myself I was imagining things. I always told myself that. Mark called that afternoon. My childhood friend. He's been in my life since we were 12, the kind of guy who knows your entire history, your embarrassing secrets, and doesn't judge. I answered on speaker so Lena could hear. "Mike. Man, how's life treating you?" Mark's voice was loud, easy. "Haven't seen you in forever." "Busy," I said. Same old, same old." "Marriage treating you well?" I chuckled. "Yeah, great. We're solid." Lena didn't react, just hummed while washing dishes. I glanced at her. She looked distant, focused on something else. But I didn't say anything. I wanted to trust, and trusting meant silence. Mark's laughter rang through the phone. "Good, man. You always were the quiet one. Lena's lucky." "Yeah," I said. "She's great." After we hung up, I leaned on the counter, watching her. "You've been different lately," I said softly. "More distant." She paused, then smiled faintly. "I guess I've just got a lot on my mind." I nodded. I always nodded. I believed in giving her space, in patience, in silence as an act of love. Later that week, I noticed small changes. The way she laughed, less for me, more at her phone. How she lingered on her calls, speaking softly, turning away from me. I asked myself if I was paranoid. One evening, I came home from work early. The house smelled like cinnamon and coffee, and she was sitting on the couch, scrolling her phone. "Hey, I thought you had a late meeting," she said, tucking her hair behind her ear. "I finished early," I said. "Figured I'd see you." She smiled politely. "Nice of you." I sat down beside her. "You're distant," I said. "I don't know why, but you are." "Talk to me." I said nothing's wrong, she replied. I tried to let it go. I really did. But I noticed her phone buzz, a message she read too quickly. I didn't pry. I never pried. I believed in patience, in faith, in waiting for her to open up. Mark came over one weekend. "Hey, you're quiet," he said, tossing his keys on the table. "Everything okay with Lena?" "She's fine," I said. Mark raised an eyebrow. "Man, I know that look." "She's acting weird?" "Maybe," I admitted. "But I trust her." "Trusting her's fine," Mark said, "but don't be blind. You deserve honesty." I smiled. "I know. I guess I give her the benefit of the doubt. Always have." "Yeah," he said. "I get that. But don't forget you're allowed to see the cracks. I nodded, but in my heart, I pushed the thought away. I always pushed the thought away. That night, I was in the kitchen making tea when her phone rang. She stepped into the hallway, whispering into it. "I can't tonight. Mike's home." I froze. Her voice was soft but sharp, filled with hesitation I didn't understand. She laughed quietly, the kind of laugh that isn't meant for me. I backed away silently, pretending I didn't hear, telling myself it was nothing. Maybe it was a friend, maybe it was a work call. I tried to believe that. But the seed of doubt had been planted. Later, Mark and I played chess at the kitchen table. "You okay, man?" "You seem off," he said, moving a pawn. "Just tired," I said. "You didn't even ask about Lena," he said. "That's new." I'm fine," I said. I wasn't fine. I felt a tug in my chest, a cold knot of suspicion I didn't want to name. I didn't want to confront it. Not yet. I told myself I was imagining things, that trusting her meant ignoring the unease in my gut. A week later, I found myself standing outside her study, listening. She was on the phone again. "I told you, it's complicated. I can't explain it right now." Her words sliced through me, sharp and unfamiliar. I knew this tone. I knew that laugh. But I told myself it was nothing. I went back to my room, sat on the bed, and stared at the ceiling. I thought about our wedding, the promises, the quiet nights I thought were love. I thought about the sacrifices I'd made, the patience I'd held onto like a shield. I whispered to myself, "I'm just imagining things. I'm imagining everything." But my hands shook slightly as I held my mug, and the tea inside sloshed over the rim. I realized then that something was wrong. Something real. But I didn't know how to name it. I didn't want to. Mark called later that evening. "You're quiet, man. You okay?" "I'm fine," I said automatically. "You sure?" "I'm sure," I repeated. He sighed on the other end. "Look. I've known you forever. You love her more than anything. Just, don't let yourself get blindsided, all right?" "I know," I said. "I trust her." "Yeah," he said, quietly, as if he knew I was lying to myself. I ended the call and sat in the dim light, staring at my hands. I had given everything, and I still wanted to believe she was mine. I had never doubted her. Never. I told myself that patience was love. That silence was loyalty. That ignoring the warning signs was strength. I didn't realize then that strength could also be blindness. That night, I lay awake, listening to the soft hum of the city outside, the faint ticking of the clock, and the occasional whisper of her laughter through the hall. I didn't move. I didn't confront. I didn't even breathe too loudly. I wanted to believe I was imagining things. And in that belief, I told myself I was safe. Little did I know, the first crack had already formed. It wasn't the betrayal itself, it was the subtle, quiet opening in the foundation of my life, something I could ignore, something I would willingly ignore, until the weight of it collapsed everything I thought I knew. I drifted to sleep, holding on to my faith in her, in us, in the quiet strength I thought was my armor. And I had no idea how quickly that armor would shatter. The morning started like any other, but I could feel the weight in the air as soon as I stepped into the kitchen. Lena was there, sipping her coffee, staring out the window like she hadn't noticed me yet. "Morning," I said, setting my briefcase down. "Sleep well?" She turned, and for a moment, I thought I saw hesitation in her eyes. Then she smiled, but it didn't reach her lips. "Morning," she said. I poured myself coffee, trying to ignore the tension I felt tightening in my chest. "You've been quiet lately. Everything okay?" She took a slow sip, then looked at me directly. "Mike. I want a divorce." The words hit me like a thunderclap. I froze, coffee mug halfway to my lips. What are you saying?" "I said I want a divorce," she repeated calmly, like she was stating the weather. "I can't do this anymore." I felt the floor beneath me tilt. You're serious?" "Yes," she said. "I've already spoken to Rachel, my lawyer. The papers are ready. I just need you to sign." I laughed nervously, trying to mask the panic. "Wait, this is a joke, right?" "No joke, Mike. I can't pretend anymore." I sank into the chair, gripping the edge like it would stop the room from spinning. I don't understand. Did I do something wrong?" You," she said. Always patient, always quiet, always waiting for me to say something. "I need more. I want more. I can't be with you anymore." I wanted to argue, to yell, to beg, but the words caught in my throat. Instead, I whispered, "So, this is it? Just like that?" "Yes," she said. "I'm sorry." I stared at her, trying to memorize her face, as if seeing her clearly one last time would make it stop. "Anne." "Mark?" Her eyes flicked briefly, then back to me. "Mark and me, we're together." I laughed bitterly, more at myself than anything else. "Of course. Why wouldn't you be? Of course it's him." Lena's voice softened. "Mike, it's not like that. We love each other. I'm happy, and I want to move on." I clenched my fists under the table. "Move on? Just like that? You're leaving me, for him?" "Yes," she said. "I'm sorry. I really am. But it's over." I felt like the room was closing in. "And the house? The savings? Everything we built?" "I'll take what I need," she said. "It's fair." Fair. That word burned inside me. Everything I'd sacrificed, every sleepless night, every silent compromise, it was fair. Mark walked in then, unannounced, like he owned the place. "Hey, Mike," he said, grinning. I didn't mean to barge in. I didn't answer. I just looked at him. He wasn't sorry, not really. "I hope you understand," Mark said casually. "We didn't plan it this way, but life happens." I laughed again, hollowly. "Life happens?" I repeated. "Life happens, and I just sign over my life?" "It's better for everyone this way," Lena said softly. "We tried. Really, we did." I shook my head, words failing me. I wanted to shout, to scream, to tell them both what monsters they were. But instead, I felt numb. Empty. "You really think you've won," I whispered. Not loud enough for them to hear, but enough for me. "You really think this is victory?" "You don't have to say anything," Lena said. "I know this hurts. But it's the right choice." I wanted to argue about fairness, about love, about loyalty, but I knew it wouldn't change anything. Nothing would. "Sign the papers," Lena said, pushing them across the table. "It'll be easier for both of us." I picked up the pen, my hands shaking. Every muscle in my body wanted to throw it across the room, wanted to rip the papers to pieces, wanted to burn everything down. But I signed. There. That was it. That was my life unraveling in a neat stack of legal documents. Mark smirked faintly, clearly satisfied. Lena looked calm, serene, like a queen surveying her kingdom. Done, I said, setting the pen down. My voice was barely audible. Thank you, she said. I know this isn't easy, Mike. I guess it is for you, I muttered. Mark laughed lightly. It'll get easier for you too, man. Time heals everything. I looked at him. Time heals? Are you kidding me? Time won't heal this. It'll only make me remember what I lost. Lena reached out. I truly hope you find someone who appreciates you. I stared at her hand, then back at her eyes. I don't think anyone will. Not like this. Mark cleared his throat. Well, we should get going. Don't want to keep you here moping. I nodded numbly. Yeah. Go ahead. They left. The apartment felt empty immediately. The silence screamed around me, and for the first time, I realized how alone I really was. I sank into the couch, staring at the papers. Signed. Sealed. Gone. Everything I had worked for, everything I believed in, everything I thought love meant, it was all gone. I thought about my parents, about the sacrifices they made for me. They'd taught me patience, endurance, respect. I followed all the rules. I did everything right. And still, this. A knock at the door startled me. It was my neighbor. Mike, are you okay? She asked. I'm fine, I said. She didn't look convinced, but she left anyway. I closed the door and sat there in silence, listening to the echo of my own heartbeat. Hours passed. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep, couldn't focus. I tried to read, tried to distract myself, but every page blurred. Every sound reminded me of them. I picked up my phone and stared at the last message Lena had sent. A simple, casual "see you later." I had been blind, trusting blindly, loving blindly. And I realized then that I had been a fool. Not because I loved too much, but because I had ignored the cracks, the warning signs, the moments that didn't add up. Mark called again later that night. Hey, you okay? I'm fine, I said automatically. You don't sound fine. I'm adjusting, I said. He didn't press further. I could hear the silence stretching across the line, heavy and judgmental. I hung up first. I walked to the window, staring at the city lights. They sparkled like lies, like promises broken, like dreams I could no longer claim. I whispered to myself, they think they won. They think I'm broken. They think I'm nothing. But deep down, beneath the shock, beneath the heartbreak, a quiet, cold thought took root. I wouldn't fight yet. Not now. I would watch. I would wait. I would let them think victory was theirs. And when the time came, they would understand. I just didn't know how long it would take. For now, I sat there, staring at the papers, staring at the empty room, pretending I was defeated, pretending I was weak. And for the first time, I realized that pretending could be its own kind of weapon. The first week after the divorce felt like walking through a fog. The apartment I'd moved into was smaller, colder, emptier, but I stayed silent. I paid the bills, cooked for myself, and avoided calling anyone. Lena was free now, and everyone thought I was broken. Mark texted me one morning, "You okay, man? I haven't seen you around." I typed back, "I'm fine. Just busy with work." He called anyway. "Mike, you don't have to pretend. You've been off." Seriously. I laughed lightly, trying to hide the storm inside. Pretend? No. I'm just adjusting. Adjusting? Mark sounded skeptical. You've lost everything. Your house, your wife, your dog, everything. How is that adjusting? I didn't answer immediately. I leaned back in my chair, staring at the ceiling. Sometimes losing everything is enlightening, I finally said. Enlightening? He repeated. Man, you sound insane. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just seeing clearly for the first time. Mark laughed nervously. Well, I hope you know what you're doing. You don't look like you're doing anything. I am, I said quietly. Mark frowned. Really? Because it looks like you're letting them win. I smiled faintly. Letting them win, that's what everyone thinks. But what if losing is just the first step? There was a long pause. Mike, you're scary sometimes, Mark said finally. Am I? I asked. Yes, he admitted. And that's why you need to talk to someone. Or at least, pay attention to what's happening. I am paying attention, I said. Later that week, I met Daniel for coffee. He was older, had a sharp sense about people, and a habit of speaking truths that hurt. You look calm, Daniel said, stirring his coffee. Too calm. I've had time to think, I said. Think? About what? About everything, I said. About the house, the money, Lena, Mark, everything I lost. I'm thinking about the truth I ignored for years. Daniel raised his eyebrows. And what truth is that? That I wasn't blind, I said. I just didn't want to see. I trusted too much. I gave too much. And now? I'm watching. I'm learning. I'm ready. Daniel laughed softly. You sound dangerous. I guess I am, I said. I started observing Lena more closely. Every social media post, every subtle slip, every comment Mark made, I noted it all. I didn't act. I didn't confront. I didn't let anyone know I was aware. One afternoon, I met Emily at work. She was new, smart, and completely unaware of the storm I was living in. Mike, I think there's a discrepancy in these accounts, she said, handing me a folder. I glanced at it, pretending to read casually. Interesting. Are you sure? Yes, she said. I double-checked. It doesn't make sense. I nodded slowly. Good work, Emily. Keep digging. She smiled. Thanks, Mike. I didn't want to bother you. You're not bothering me, I said. Keep looking. Sometimes the smallest details matter most. Later that evening, I replayed conversations in my head. Lena's laughter, Mark's casual smirk, the way she avoided eye contact when she thought I wasn't watching. Each moment became a piece of a puzzle I refused to solve in haste. Patience was my weapon. Silence was my shield. I called Victor, a private investigator I'd met years ago. I need information, I said. I need a timeline. Victor's voice was calm. Timeline of what? Of Lena and Mark, I said. Every meeting, every call, every transaction. I want the truth. You don't want this, Victor warned. Once you start, you can't unsee it. I want it, I said firmly. Every detail. A week later, Victor called back. Mike, it's all there. The affair, the money, the lies. All of it. She started months before the divorce. I closed my eyes, letting the words sink in. I felt a surge of something, not anger, not yet. But clarity. I didn't call Lena. I didn't call Mark. I didn't tell anyone. I just listened, absorbed, and planned. One evening, Mark came by. "Mike, I just wanted to check in. Make sure you're okay," he said, smiling like a friend. I looked at him, letting the silence stretch. "I'm fine," I said. "You don't sound fine," he said. "Look. I know it's awkward, but I hope we can, move past this." "Move past what?" I asked. "Us," he said. "You and Lena, me and her, it's complicated. But I hope we can keep it civil." I laughed softly, the sound low and cold. "Civil? You broke my life. You think civility can fix that?" I didn't. "I mean, we didn't plan it like this," he stammered. I leaned closer. "You didn't plan it?" "No, Mark. You didn't plan it. But you executed it perfectly. And now I'm just observing." Mark swallowed. "Observing? What does that mean?" "It means I know everything," I said. "Every call, every lie, every step. And I'm not reacting. Not yet." He looked confused, maybe afraid. I let him sit in that. "Patience is a weapon," I whispered to myself. Days passed. I watched Lena post pictures of her new life. Smiling, happy, carefree. Mark by her side, smug. Everyone thought I was defeated. But I wasn't. I started reclaiming small parts of my life. I focused on work, improving my finances, learning skills I'd ignored for years. I didn't brag. I didn't announce it. I just built quietly, steadily. One night, I met Sophia, a therapist recommended by a friend. She didn't know my story, but I told her anyway. "I feel empty," I said. "But not broken. I feel like I've been asleep my whole life, and now I'm awake." But awake doesn't mean happy. It means aware. It means I see clearly, and I have to decide what to do with it. She nodded. "Awareness is a gift, Mike. But it's also dangerous if you don't know how to use it." "I think I know," I said. She studied me. "And what do you plan to do?" I smiled faintly. "Watch. Wait. Learn. And when the time is right, act. Not in anger. Not in revenge. But in control. Everything has its time." She didn't respond, just let me sit with my thoughts. That night, I walked through my apartment, looking at the small, bare walls. I thought about Lena, about Mark, about everything they'd taken. I thought about the life I'd lost. And I told myself quietly, almost in a whisper, I didn't lose the divorce. I invested in it. And now, the returns will be mine. I thought about the first step, the plan forming in my head like a cold, deliberate fire. I wouldn't confront them yet. I wouldn't act rashly. I would gather, observe, and prepare. I let them think I was broken. The small apartment, the quiet dinners, the empty smiles, they all served a purpose. Everyone assumed I'd lost, that I'd given up. Even Lena, I knew, believed she had one. And that made the next phase possible. Mark stopped by one Saturday. "Hey, Mike. You're really quiet," he said, dropping his bag on the floor. I smiled faintly. "Just enjoying the silence." He raised an eyebrow. "Right, silence. You've been doing this for weeks. Are you okay?" "I'm fine," I said. "Really?" "Yeah." He leaned against the wall. Because the way Lena talks, it's like she's celebrating. I shrugged. Let her celebrate. I'll just watch. Mark laughed nervously. You sound dangerous. Maybe I am, I said. He frowned, hesitating. Mike. I don't want to make this awkward. But, you ever wonder if she regrets it? Or if she regrets? I interrupted softly. No. She doesn't. That's why I'm watching. The cracks will show themselves. Time will reveal the truth. He blinked. Time, yeah. I guess. Later that week, I started paying attention to Lena's new routines. Every phone call, every text, every small financial decision, I noticed patterns. She was careless, confident, unaware. Perfect for someone like me who had learned patience the hard way. At work, I met Emily again. Mike, there's something strange in these accounts, she said, handing me a folder. I glanced at it, nodding slowly. Interesting. What did you notice? There's an unusual transaction here, she said. It doesn't match anything we expected. I leaned back, thinking. Good eye, Emily. Keep following it. Sometimes the smallest inconsistencies tell the biggest story. She smiled. Thanks, Mike. I'll keep digging. I nodded. Perfect. Keep looking, and don't tell anyone else. Some things are better uncovered quietly. Later, Victor called. Mike. I've compiled everything. Dates, locations, financials, texts, it's all there. I closed my eyes. Good. Perfect. I don't need anyone to intervene yet. Just keep it safe. I'll know when to act. Victor hesitated. Are you sure? Once you start, you can't unsee this. I'm sure, I said. I've been blind for too long. I'm done ignoring the truth. But I will not act recklessly. Patience is the key. He was silent for a moment. All right. You're methodical, Mike. Scary, even. I like to think I'm careful, I said. At home, I played the role I needed them to see. I cooked simple meals, kept my apartment tidy but modest, and let rumors about my supposed misery circulate. Everyone believed I'd lost everything. Lena, Mark, even mutual friends, they assumed my silence was weakness. One night, I ran into Sophia at a coffee shop. You look tired, she said, studying me over her mug. I am, I said. Tired of pretending, tired of trusting blindly, tired of watching people lie and hurt the ones they claim to love. Sounds intense, she said. Do you ever let yourself just react? No, I said. Not yet. I've learned that reactions are predictable. Actions are powerful. She frowned. Actions? What do you mean? I mean patience can be a weapon, I said quietly. Silence, observation, restraint, sometimes the best move is to do nothing, while others reveal themselves. She nodded slowly. I suppose that's strategic. Yes, I said. And strategy is better than anger. Always. Later, Mark texted me, You're hiding something, Mike. I can feel it. Just, don't make this worse for yourself. I typed back, I'm just living. He replied almost immediately, Yeah, sure. Whatever you say. I smiled faintly. They all believed it. Lena believed I was a defeated man. Mark believed he'd won. The world assumed I was out of the game. Perfect. That weekend, I met Daniel again. You're too quiet, man, he said. Even for you. You're not just observing, you're planning. I shrugged. Planning is preparation. There's a difference between acting too soon and acting wisely. Daniel nodded. True. But be careful. Patience can turn into obsession. I know the difference, I said. Patience is control. Obsession is chaos. Later that night, I walked through my apartment, picking up small things Lena had left behind. A scarf, a coffee mug, a book she'd abandoned. I didn't touch them in anger. I touched them in memory. In calculation. In the quiet understanding that even the smallest objects could hold power if used correctly. I whispered to myself, she thinks she's free. He thinks he's victorious. And I will let them believe that. Completely. I thought back to the divorce papers, the signatures, the promises she had once whispered. I had given up everything deliberately. The house, the savings, even her dog. Everyone thought I had been foolish. But it was intentional. I had invested in their arrogance, their overconfidence, their mistakes. I poured a glass of water and stared at it, seeing clarity in the simplicity. Losing everything didn't make me weak. It made me invisible. And invisibility was far more powerful than anyone imagined. The next day, Mark stopped by unannounced again. Mike, you're really not saying anything, he said. I smiled lightly. I have nothing to say. Let me enjoy the quiet. You're lying, he said, narrowing his eyes. Maybe, I said. Or maybe I'm just learning to listen. He looked frustrated. Listen to what? Listen to the world around me, I said. And watch people make mistakes. That's always more revealing than words. Mark didn't answer, but I saw it in his eyes, unease. That unease made the mask I wore stronger. Even Lena noticed the change. At a party a few days later, she approached me with a fake smile. Mike, you're different. I smiled faintly. I've had time to think. She tried to probe further. About us? About me? Not about you, I said. About me. About what I want. About what I'm capable of. Her smile faltered. You're calm. Too calm. Maybe calm is the point, I said. Maybe the calm hides everything. She stared at me for a moment, then walked away. I let her go. I had no need to chase. No need to confront. Letting her believe she was ahead was far more satisfying. I returned to my apartment and sat quietly, reflecting on the week. Every action, every observation, every detail I collected added to a growing picture. I wasn't planning revenge yet. I was gathering tools, knowledge, and clarity. The pieces were falling into place. I had been patient for weeks, letting everyone believe I was broken. Lena flaunted her freedom, Mark strutted around like a king, and I played my part quietly. I didn't rush. I didn't act. I just watched. And slowly, the first cracks appeared. Mark called me one evening, his voice tight. Mike, hey. Can we talk? Of course, I said calmly. What's up? It's complicated, he said. My job. I got called in today. There's an investigation. Something with the accounts. I don't know much, but it's serious. I raised an eyebrow. Investigation? Really? Yeah, I think it's linked to Lena's new business. I didn't see it coming, he admitted. I smiled faintly. Interesting. Surprised? Yeah. I mean, she's careful. Or she thinks she is. But I guess not. I said nothing, letting him stew in his unease. Well, what are you going to do? I asked finally. I don't know. Just hope for the best, I guess. That's one way to handle it, I said. We hung up, and I leaned back in my chair, letting a small sense of satisfaction warm me. Not revenge, just observation. The universe had a way of balancing things. I didn't need to push it yet. Later that week, Lena called me, her tone polite but cautious. Mike. I hope I'm not disturbing you. I just wanted to ask, how are you doing? I laughed softly. Disturbing? No. I'm doing fine. Adjusting to life, you know? Of course, she said. I wanted to make sure you're okay. Thanks, I said. I appreciate that. But really, I'm fine. She hesitated. I hope so. It's just things have been difficult. I smiled quietly, letting my tone be calm but measured. Difficult for everyone, I guess. But we survive. She paused. You're different. I can hear it in your voice. Yes, I admitted softly. I've learned a few things. About patience. About observation. About timing. There was silence on the line, and I let it linger. She didn't push further. She didn't want to hear it. Emily at work had some news for me that day too. Mike. I traced some of the financial discrepancies. It looks like Lena's partner pulled out. The contracts she signed, they're falling apart. I leaned back, sipping my coffee, letting the information settle. Interesting, I said. Did she see this coming? No, Emily said. Not at all. She's surprised and frustrated. But you know, she's confident. She didn't expect issues so soon. I nodded. Confidence is often dangerous when it's built on lies. She smiled faintly. You always know what to say, Mike. I didn't respond, just let her comment hang. Knowledge felt heavy in my hands, like a quiet weapon. That evening, I met Sophia. Mike, you've changed, she said, looking at me across the table. I've been awake for the first time in years, I said. Seeing clearly. Understanding things I ignored before. It's unsettling, but necessary. Necessary for what? She asked. To survive. To prepare. To learn when to act and when to wait. She nodded. Sounds like you're in control now. I am, I said. Not over them, not yet. But over myself. And that's always the first step. The next morning, Mark showed up at my office. Mike. I need your advice, he said nervously. I raised an eyebrow. Advice? On what? Lena's business. It's crumbling. I don't know what to do. I'm asking you because, well, you're the only one I trust. I smiled faintly. You trust me? After everything? Yes, he said quickly. I don't have anyone else. Please, Mike. Help me. Interesting request, I said. Do you feel guilty at all? Mark hesitated. Guilty? Maybe. But I didn't plan this. I didn't think it would happen. Right, I said softly. You just executed everything perfectly and hoped the universe wouldn't notice. He swallowed. Mike, please. I just want guidance. I leaned back. Guidance, yes. But remember, guidance comes with honesty. And honesty, Mark, is the only thing that will keep you alive in situations like this. He nodded slowly, uncertain. I understand. I didn't tell him what I knew. Not yet. Let the chaos reach him naturally. Let the consequences be subtle but undeniable. That was far more satisfying than any confrontation. Later that week, Lena called again. Mike. I'm facing some unexpected issues with the new contracts. I don't know what went wrong. I sipped my tea, letting her words sink. Mistakes happen, I said quietly. Even when you think everything is perfect. She paused. You're calm. Too calm. I've had practice, I said softly. Watching, waiting, learning, it's a skill. Skill? Or manipulation? She asked sharply. Neither, I said. Just observation. Sometimes people learn too late. That's all. The line went silent. She didn't argue. She didn't push. She just hung up, leaving me in the quiet satisfaction of knowing that her first real cracks had appeared. I watched my life start to settle into a rhythm of quiet strategy. Work, observation, small victories, subtle satisfaction. No shouting. No confrontation. Just the universe doing its work, and me guiding it silently. Daniel called one night. Mike. I hear Lena's business is tanking. And Mark, he's freaking out at work. Looks like karma's finally catching up. I smiled faintly. Karma, I said. I prefer to call it timing. Daniel laughed softly. Timing, sure. Just make sure you don't get too absorbed in this. Revenge and patience are a fine line. I know the difference, I said. Patience is awareness. Revenge is rash. I'm aware. I'm patient. Later, Mark called again. Mike, things are worse than I thought. Lena, she's panicking. I don't know how to fix it. I could use your help. Help? I asked, calm. Or advice? Both, he admitted. I smiled, a faint, quiet smile. Interesting. I'm happy to provide guidance, but remember. Guidance only works if you're honest with yourself. He didn't answer. He just let the silence hang heavy. That night, I sat by my window, watching the city lights. Lena's laughter, Mark's panic, the subtle shifts in their lives, I observed it all. I didn't celebrate. I didn't gloat. I simply acknowledged the natural unfolding of consequences. I could feel it. The shift. The first subtle tremors of control were mine, and I let the world believe I was still the defeated man. Lena and Mark were scrambling, desperate to hold on to what they thought they had taken from me, and I sat quietly, observing, calculating. Mark called one morning. Mike. Lena's panicking. The investors are pulling out. She's asking me for advice, Anne. I don't know what to do. I smiled faintly. Interesting. And what are you planning to tell her? I don't know. I suggested she slow down, think carefully, but she's emotional, he admitted. Emotional is dangerous, I said. Especially when your foundation is weak. Yeah, you're right, he said, sighing. I don't want to make it worse. You won't, I said calmly. Sometimes the universe handles it for you. Mark didn't reply. He knew the truth in my tone. That evening, I met Emily. Mike. I've traced the latest transactions. Lena's making mistakes, big ones. She's overestimating her finances, underestimating her liabilities. I leaned back, letting the words sink. Excellent. Keep monitoring everything. Don't intervene. Just report back. She nodded. Understood. It's almost poetic watching it unravel. Yes, I said softly. Almost. Later, I called Victor. Everything? I asked. All updated, he replied. Every phone call, every meeting, every slip-up documented. Good. Keep it ready. I may need it sooner than later. Victor hesitated. You're calm. Almost too calm. Are you sure you don't want me to step in? No, I said. This is happening naturally. Let them crash on their own. I'll guide the timing. At home, I prepared for another day, cooking breakfast, keeping the apartment orderly, making myself appear ordinary. That ordinariness was my armor, my mask. Everyone assumed I was weak, passive, defeated. And it made the shift easier when I was ready to strike. Lena called later that day. Her voice was tight, nervous. Mike. I just wanted to ask, are you really okay? Yes, I said calmly. I'm fine. I hope so. You look different, she said, her tone betraying unease. I'm just adjusting, I said softly. Learning. Observing. Understanding. She paused. Learning what? The truth, I said. About people, about actions, about consequences. It's enlightening. She didn't reply. I knew she felt it, my quiet power, the awareness I'd gained. She didn't need to see it fully yet. It would reveal itself soon. Mark texted me that night, Mike, she's panicking. I don't know how to calm her down. I typed back slowly, let her learn the hard way. Sometimes that's the only way. I could feel it building, control flowing through me. The patience, the observation, the quiet endurance, all of it was transforming into authority. Not over them yet, but over myself. And controlling yourself is the first step to controlling everything else. The next morning, Lena showed up at my office. Mike. I need your help. Please, just advice. I smiled faintly. Of course. Sit down. She hesitated. I don't understand. Everything's falling apart. The contracts, the investors. I thought I knew what I was doing. You didn't, I said softly. You underestimated things. Overestimated confidence. And now, I leaned back, letting the pause stretch. You're learning the consequences. I just need guidance, she said, desperation creeping into her voice. Guidance comes with honesty, I said. Are you ready to be honest? She swallowed. Yes. I'll try. I nodded. Good. Let's start with the basics. Where the finances are weak. What's gone wrong? And what can be salvaged? We went over the details, slowly, carefully. Every slip-up she made, every assumption, I let her discover herself. My voice was calm, neutral, supportive, but each word carried subtle truth. I didn't need to attack. The cracks were already showing, the panic already building. Mark stopped by after she left, pretending casual concern. "Mike, how are you helping her?" "Helping her see the truth," I said simply. He frowned. "Truth? You're enjoying this, aren't you?" "I'm observing," I corrected. "And yes, seeing consequences unfold is enlightening." He laughed nervously. "You're scary sometimes, Mike." "I don't like it." "That's the point," I said softly. "Scary isn't bad. It's effective." Days passed, and the power shift became undeniable. Lena's confidence wavered. Mark's control slipped. Every misstep they made, I noted it quietly. Every desperate call, every panicked message, every shaky decision, it all fed into the structure I was slowly rebuilding for myself. Emily updated me constantly. "Mike. Lena's trying to fix everything. She's desperate. She's realizing how much she underestimated the risks. And Mark, he's stressed. Big time." I smiled faintly. "Good. Let it happen naturally. The timing is perfect." Victor called later. "Everything's still documented. You can act at any time, but the chaos is unfolding on its own. They're revealing everything." "Perfect," I said. "No interference necessary. Let them believe they're in control. The illusion makes their fall inevitable." Lena called again, trembling slightly. "Mike. I don't know what to do. I feel like everything's slipping." "Yes," I said quietly. "It is. And it's your lesson. Sometimes, control isn't given. It's taken. Or lost." She didn't respond. I knew she felt the shift. The fear. The panic. I didn't need to do more. Nature, human error, impatience, it was all working in my favor. Mark texted me again. "Mike. I don't understand. We thought we were safe. Everything's collapsing. What's happening?" I typed back slowly. The world has a way of correcting itself. And some lessons can't be ignored. That night, I sat quietly, sipping tea, reflecting on the subtle power I had regained. The apartment was calm, the lights dim, the night quiet. I had nothing to prove yet. My strength wasn't in confrontation. It was in patience, observation, and control. Sophia called. "Mike, you've changed. The way you handle everything, you're calm, methodical. I don't think you were always like this." I watched them. Every move, every hesitation, every mistake. The power shift I'd patiently built was no longer subtle, it was undeniable. Lena's confidence was cracking, Mark's arrogance crumbling. And I remained calm, silent, waiting for the final pieces to fall into place. It started one morning with Mark. He stormed into my office, pacing back and forth like a man teetering on the edge. "Mike. You have to help me," he shouted, throwing a folder onto my desk. "Lena, she's panicking. The investors pulled out. Some contracts are missing, and God, I don't know how this happened." I leaned back in my chair, watching him unravel. "Interesting," I said quietly. "Interesting?" he yelled, spinning toward me. "Mike, you don't understand. We're losing everything." "I understand perfectly," I said calmly. "You mismanaged, underestimated, and overconfidently assumed things would stay in your favor. And now, reality is catching up." Mark's face went pale. You're enjoying this, aren't you?" I shrugged faintly. I'm observing. There's a difference. He glared at me. Observing? Mike, this is serious. Lena's scared. I'm scared. Everything is falling apart. Yes, I said softly. And every action you took, every decision you made, contributed to it. That's all I'm noting. He took a deep breath, shaking. You're merciless. I don't know how you stay so calm. Patience is a weapon, I said. Observation is power. And control comes from knowing when to act and when to wait. Mark slumped into the chair across from me, silent. I let him stew in his realization, letting the first real fear take hold. Later that day, Lena called. Her voice was tight, trembling, fragile. Mike. I don't know what to do. Everything's falling apart. The investors are leaving, the contracts, it's a mess. Please, please help me. I leaned back, letting the calm wash over me. I'll help, I said. But you must understand, the choices you made, the risks you ignored, they brought you here. I can guide, but you must face the consequences of your own actions. There was silence. I understand, she whispered, almost too quietly for me to hear. Good, I said softly. Now, let's go through this step by step. Where the contracts are missing, what was miscalculated, and how you can mitigate the damage. She hesitated. You're calm. Too calm. I don't understand it. Calm is clarity, I said. And clarity is the first step to control. The next morning, I met Emily at work. She was practically bouncing in her chair. Mike, you won't believe this. Lena's panicked emails, Mark's frantic calls, their mistakes are piling up. It's incredible. I smiled faintly. Excellent. Keep tracking everything. Do not interfere. Just let it continue. Emily laughed softly. It's like watching karma in action. Yes, I said quietly. Timing and consequence, nothing more. Later, Mark called me, voice trembling. Mike, we don't know what to do. Lena's completely lost. I feel like we're doomed. I nodded, almost imperceptibly. Then learn from it, I said calmly. The lesson is in the observation. In understanding what led you here. You can survive this, if you accept it and act carefully. He swallowed. You're different. I don't know how you do it. Different is simply learning, I said. And patience. Never underestimate the power of waiting, Mark. That afternoon, I watched Lena frantically sending emails, making calls, trying to regain control. Her usual poise was gone, replaced by fear and indecision. Every wrong choice she made only reinforced the shift I had begun. I leaned back in my chair, sipping coffee, and whispered to myself, this is the power of observation. This is the strength in patience. They have no idea the storm they've stepped into. Victor called later. Mike, everything is documented. Every mistake, every slip, every email, every text. When you're ready, it's all there. Perfect, I said. Let them crumble naturally. The evidence is secondary, it's their own hands that will bring them down. The next day, Mark showed up at my apartment, wringing his hands. Mike. Lena, she's lost it. She's threatening investors, panicking over finances. I can't control her. I don't know what to do. Breathe, I said calmly. Step back. Observation first, interference later. She needs to learn the consequences of her actions. That's how understanding is born. I can't watch this. It's too much, he admitted. Then let the universe guide you, I said. Sometimes the hardest lessons are the most effective. He left, clearly shaken. I smiled faintly to myself. Let him feel the fear. Let him feel the weight of their mistakes. Every crumbling step reinforced my quiet power. That evening, Lena called again. Mike. I need advice. I feel like I've lost control. Please help me. Yes, I said softly. But first, you must admit every choice you made led here. You must own the mistakes before solutions can be found. I understand, she whispered. I see it now. But I don't know if I can fix it. You will, I said calmly. But only if you face the consequences fully and honestly. Avoiding them only delays the inevitable. She paused. You're calm through all of this. How? How do you stay in control? Because control isn't about power over others, I said softly. It's power over yourself. And patience, observation, understanding, these create control. Later that week, Emily brought me a folder. Mike, you need to see this. Lena's contracts are collapsing. Investors are pulling out. She's panicking. And Mark, he's desperate. It's happening exactly as you predicted. I nodded, leaning back. Excellent. Keep monitoring. Do not intervene. Just let it unfold. Emily laughed. It's like watching a slow-motion collapse. I've never seen anything like it. Yes, I said softly. Timing is everything. Let the consequences reveal themselves naturally. Mark called again, voice tight. Mike, everything's falling apart. We didn't expect this. We thought we were untouchable. Untouchable is an illusion, I said quietly. Reality always catches up. And patience ensures you see it clearly when it does. He swallowed. You're terrifying. I don't know how you stay so calm. Because calm is clarity, I said. And clarity is strength. Observe, learn, and act only when necessary. Lena called one last time that week. Mike. I don't know what to do. I feel like everything's collapsing around me. The moment had finally come. Months of patience, observation, and silent strategy had led to this night. Lena's confidence was shattered, Mark's arrogance crumbling, and I was calm, prepared, in complete control. The pieces were all in place. Mark showed up at my apartment unannounced, panicked as always. Mike. I don't know what to do. Lena's investors are leaving, creditors are calling, and I feel like it's all my fault. I let him stew in his panic for a moment before speaking. Mark, do you understand now? The choices you made, the assumptions you held, the arrogance you displayed, all of it led here. I guess, he said, voice cracking. I didn't mean for this to happen. No, I said softly. You didn't. But intention doesn't erase consequence. And now, you're facing it fully. He sank into the chair across from me, trembling. Mike, please, tell me there's a way out. I don't want to lose everything. There's always a way out, I said calmly. But only if you accept responsibility and face the truth. Mark swallowed. I don't know if I can. Lena, she's panicking. She's lost completely. Then you'll watch, I said softly. And you'll learn. That's the first step toward any redemption. Later that night, Lena called me again. Her voice was brittle, trembling, broken. Mike. I can't fix this. Everything's collapsing. I don't know what to do. I didn't panic. I didn't yell. I didn't plead. I simply listened. Lena, the truth is clear. The mistakes, the assumptions, the arrogance, they've led you here. You must face them fully if you want to move forward. I can't, she whispered. I feel powerless. Yes, I said softly. And that feeling, it's the reality of your choices. Only by accepting it can you start to regain control. Her voice cracked. You're calm through all of this. How? How are you so unshakable? Because I am, I said quietly. I've learned to observe, to wait, to calculate. I've learned that control over yourself is far more important than control over others. And patience is the strongest weapon. There was silence on the line. She knew. She felt it. The power had shifted. And the weight of that realization began to crush her. The next morning, I received a text from Mark. Mike, it's worse. Lena's losing clients, investors are pulling out, and her reputation, it's ruined. How did this happen so fast? I typed back deliberately, the truth always finds its way. Timing reveals all. And patience allows clarity. Mark didn't reply. I didn't expect him to. He was learning the same lesson Lena was, the hard way. I went to the office that afternoon and met Emily. Mike. Lena's panic emails, Mark's frantic calls, it's all here. Everything they tried to hide is unraveling. I nodded slowly. Good. Let it unfold naturally. Don't intervene yet. Observation is key. Emily looked at me, smiling faintly. You've planned this perfectly. It's chilling, really. Yes, I said softly. Timing, patience, and awareness. That's all it takes. Let them crumble, and let them see clearly only when it's too late. Later that day, Mark appeared again, desperate. Mike. I need to fix this. I can't watch Lena destroy everything. Please, help me. I'll do whatever you say. I smiled faintly. Help comes with honesty, Mark. Are you willing to admit the mistakes you've made? Are you willing to face the consequences fully? He swallowed hard. I think so. I don't know if I can, but I'll try. Good, I said. Then start by letting go of control. Accept reality. Only then can you begin to rebuild. He nodded, trembling. I will. I swear I will. The next evening, Lena showed up at my apartment, tears streaming down her face. Mike. I can't. I can't handle this. Everything's gone. I don't know who to blame. I let her sob quietly for a moment before speaking. You must stop blaming others. The responsibility, the power to change, it's always been yours. Your choices created this. Your arrogance, your impatience, your refusal to listen, they brought you here. I see it now, she whispered, broken. I was blind. I I ignored the signs. I was selfish. Yes, I said softly. And that awareness is the first step to reclaiming yourself. But it won't erase the consequences. You must face them fully. She nodded slowly, trembling. I understand. I see it now. Later that night, Mark called me, voice quivering. Mike. Lena, she's realizing it. She's starting to understand the mistakes. I don't know if we can fix everything, but at least she's aware. Yes, I said calmly. Awareness is power. And patience ensures clarity. You both have a long way to go, but at least the first step is taken. Mark hesitated. You're terrifying sometimes, Mike. I don't know how you remain so calm, so in control. Calm is clarity, I said softly. And clarity is the foundation of strength. Observation and patience are far more powerful than impulsive action. The next morning, I met Emily at work again. Mike, everything's documented. Every call, every email, every mistake, they're all here. You could act now, but you're letting it unfold naturally. I nodded slowly. Yes. Let them see it themselves. Let the consequences hit home fully. Acting too soon would ruin the lesson. Observation is the final move. Emily shook her head in awe. It's like watching a chess game in slow motion. You're unshakable. Yes, I said quietly. Because I know the rules. I've learned patience. I've learned strategy. And most importantly, I've learned that control comes from within. Later that evening, Lena appeared at my door, finally calm but still trembling. Mike. I've lost everything. But I understand. I accept it. Anne. I want to rebuild. I want guidance. I looked at her, quietly, calmly. Good. The first step is awareness. The next step is honesty, accountability, and deliberate action. If you're truly ready, I'll help you rebuild. But only if you commit fully. The chaos had ended. Lena and Mark had faced every consequence of their actions. The panic, the arrogance, the reckless decisions, they had all been exposed. But the most important change was inside me. I was no longer the man I had been before everything broke. I was stronger, calmer, patient, and aware. And tonight, for the first time in years, I felt complete. Lena arrived at my apartment one last time, hesitant but composed. Mike. I've reflected on everything. I see my mistakes. I've accepted them. Anne. I want to start over, if that's possible. I looked at her quietly, observing the genuine remorse in her eyes. Starting over is possible, I said softly. But only if you commit fully, without excuses, without arrogance, without fear. Only then can rebuilding be real. I can do that, she said, voice steadying. I promise. Good, I said calmly. Then we begin with honesty, responsibility, and awareness. No shortcuts. She nodded. I understand. I've learned the hard way. Mark appeared shortly after, still nervous but determined. Mike. I've been reflecting too. I see my failures. I understand the mistakes I made. And I want to do better, if you'll allow me. I studied him, letting the silence stretch. You want to rebuild, Mark? Yes, he said firmly. I've learned my lesson. I won't repeat it. Good, I said. But rebuilding isn't about words. It's about actions, patience, and self-awareness. Are you ready to prove it? I am, he said, voice trembling slightly. I swear I am. We sat together, quiet for a moment. No shouting, no accusations, no bitterness. Just the calm acknowledgement that everything had changed. The game was over, the pieces in place, and the lesson complete. Lena broke the silence. Mike, you changed too. You're not the man I thought I knew. You're stronger, wiser. Patient. Calm. I see it now. Yes, I said softly. I had to change. I had to survive. And in surviving, I discovered something I didn't know about myself. Patience is power, and observation is clarity. That's the man I've become. Mark nodded. I see it too. I underestimated you. We all did. And now I understand. You've reclaimed everything, quietly, deliberately, perfectly. I smiled faintly. That's exactly it. The quiet, deliberate actions, the patience, it allows clarity. And clarity gives control. Not over them, but over myself. And that is everything. Lena's voice softened. I can't imagine the pain you endured. The betrayal, the silence, the waiting. It was necessary, I said simply. Necessary to understand, necessary to learn, necessary to rise above it all. I could have acted rashly, angrily, but that wouldn't have changed anything. Waiting, observing, letting them reveal themselves, that was the only way to truly reclaim my life. Mark swallowed hard. You're terrifying sometimes, Mike. But I respect it. I respect you. The way you handled everything, it's something else entirely. Terrifying or not, I said softly, I've learned that control isn't about instilling fear in others. It's about mastering yourself, about patience, awareness, and deliberate action. The rest follows naturally. Emily joined us later that evening. Mike. I've seen it all. The unraveling, the lessons, the outcomes, it's incredible. You've rebuilt not with anger, not with revenge, but with a strategy, patience, and observation. It's impressive. I nodded quietly. Thank you, Emily. But this isn't about impressing anyone. It's about reclaiming what was lost. Losing everything allowed me to see clearly. And now, I can move forward with purpose, with clarity, and with strength. Sophia called that night, her voice calm but curious. Mike, you're different. I've watched, and I've waited, and I've seen the patience, the control, the deliberate strategy. You're not the man you were before. No, I admitted softly. I'm not. I've learned from betrayal, from mistakes, from the loss of trust and control. And I've realized something essential: power isn't in aggression or confrontation. It's in patience, observation, and understanding. And that is how you survive and thrive. She laughed softly. You're unshakable now. Truly unshakable. Yes, I said. Because I've mastered myself. And mastering yourself is the ultimate victory. The following morning, I walked through the city streets alone, reflecting on everything that had happened. The lessons, the betrayals, the panic, the mistakes, it had all been part of the process. And I felt free. Free from the chains of blind trust, free from the pain of betrayal, free from the illusion of weakness. Lena and Mark had learned their lessons. I had reclaimed control, not through confrontation, but through deliberate patience. And I realized, the man I was before everything broke was gone. In his place stood someone stronger, wiser, and unshakable. Later, Lena came to me, her voice quiet but sincere. "Mike, thank you. For everything. For your patience, your guidance, your clarity. I will not forget this. I will not repeat my mistakes." "You won't," I said softly. "Because now, you understand the weight of your choices. And that understanding is the only true path to growth." Mark appeared shortly after, nodding. "Mike, I've learned more than I ever expected. The mistakes, the arrogance, the panic, they've taught me what true awareness and control mean. Anne, I won't forget it." "Good," I said calmly. "Remember, control is never about overpowering others. It's about mastering yourself, observing clearly, and acting deliberately. Those who learn this, survive. Those who don't, falter." Emily smiled faintly. "You've changed the rules, Mike. Not with aggression, not with revenge, but with strategy, patience, and quiet observation. It's remarkable." "Yes," I said softly. "Because the true power isn't in the chaos. It's in the calm, in the patience, and in the understanding that every action has a consequence. And when you master yourself, the world follows." That night, I sat by my window, looking out over the city lights. The chaos had ended. The panic, the arrogance, the recklessness, they had all been exposed. The lessons had been learned. And I was no longer the man I had been before everything broke.